All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of Ruel. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect, the Bayat Dawadah, the house of David. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and play this here real quick. All right.
There are also several explosions that were heard near the United States consulate in Erbil in northern Iraq. Now, with respect to the United Arab Emirates, the Emirati Defense Ministry has also reported a casualty where one person has apparently been killed in the Iranian strikes. Qatar has condemned the Iranian missile attack on its territory after several rounds of explosions were heard across Doha. Saudi Arabia has condemned the Iranian attacks targeting its neighbors in a statement that was released by the kingdom's official press agency following a flurry of salvos across West Asia as Israel and the United States have bombed Iran. And my colleague Kripa, of course, is with us, joining us from the newsroom, who's been tracking all the developments that are unfolding. Kripa, at this moment, the information that is coming out of this developing story is still very sketchy. What are you picking up at your end about the number of fatalities that have been suffered since the attacks began this morning?
Yes, Saleh, as I've previously mentioned.
And see, as we know, tensions are real high, okay? Tensions are real high, but we know that Jacob's trouble, right? You see, that MOTB, which is the mark of the beast, must come to pass. Jacob's trouble must happen before the end of all end, right? The war to end all wars, which is World War III, you see, which is going to be fought by thermonuclear missiles, all right? So let me see this here, okay? Let me see this here. Let me get Isaiah 9 and 5, right? Isaiah 9 and 5, it says, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, right? So let's go here. All right, Revelation 9. Let me see. Right, Revelation 9 and 12, it says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. Revelation 11 and 14. Right? It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. See, the third woe cometh quickly, right? And in the midst of that third world's war, right, which this is just a prelude to it, because, see, you got to understand, China's going to get involved. Russia's going to get involved, right? And Russia's going to be the guard unto all these little nations. You see, right? And they're preparing for war. A lot of things is going on, but little do you know, the war is going to escalate even further than where we're at now. But we know that Jacob's trouble must happen first. That MOTB, right? Martial law. All these things must come down the line. You see? And this is what we're doing. We're speaking these prophecies, right? Unto you. Okay? Let me go ahead and get second Ezra, the 15th chapter. Right? Second Ezra. Close that. Sorry, Salakia. The 15th chapter in the first verse, it says, behold, speak down in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, right? Because these are the Lord's words. These are not our words, right? You see? Because the Spirit is dealing with us to speak these words, you see? And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. You see? Now, what about if some didn't believe what we were saying? Romans 3 and 3. You see? Does it stop the prophecies from happening? No. Yahweh forbid. You see? That's just roughly paraphrasing. All right, but matter of fact, we can go get it since I brought it up, right? Romans 3 and 3. You see? Let's go here. Romans 3 and 3. It says, for what if some did not believe? Shall the unbelief make the faith of Yahweh without effect? Yahweh forbid. Yeah, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar, as it is written that thou mayest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. You see? All right, so, hey, man, listen, we're speaking the word unto you. And as we speaking this word unto you, things are happening, man. All right, it says, fear none of the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity. Incredulity means unbelief, right? Of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, right? And a lot of our people who are unfaithful, a lot of our people who don't believe what we saying, they all going to die in their unfaithfulness, man. All right? They're going to perish over here on this side, man. Okay? Because they believe not the truth. They believe not the men of the Lord who was teaching this word, right? See? So, hey, man, listen, let's just go back and play this here. All right, and then we just going to end it off there.
5 girls were killed in an all-girls school in the strike in Iran. And as we track the latest developments at this hour, Iranian missiles have targeted Israel again, with the Israeli army trying.
Because, see, the words that we speaking is going to come to pass, right? Isaiah, you see? Let me do this here. Isaiah 34, real quick. Isaiah 34, right? In verse number 16. You see? Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, right? None of these prophecies is going to fail that we speaking. All right? When we telling you that Russia's going to get involved in this thing. NATO and the EU going to shoot missiles off on Babylon the Great. China is going to get involved. Iran is going to get involved. As you can see, little things being stirred up in the midst, right? Because the Lord is in the midst of this thing. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai is in the midst of this thing, right? You see? Because these things are faithful and true. The words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai are faithful and true. All right? No matter how you feel about it, no matter what you think about it, these things are all going to come to pass. It says, and none one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. Right? Because you can't make this book up. You can't make this book with no book on the planet. This book stands alone because it got power, prophecies, right? You see? It got things of that nature that's written in here, man. This is a powerful book, right? And it's our book, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? This is our book, okay? It says, from my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered. And gathered who? The elect, Lord willing, the hopeful elect. Lord willing, I may be a part of that number. Hey, Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai Ratizah. Okay? You see? All right, so let's go back and let's finish this here. And we're going to close.
Trying to intercept. And if we analyze the situation a little on why Israel struck Iran, Israel views a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat, and the IAEA is ruling, plus Iran's enrichment move crossed Israel's long-stated red lines. Israel acted unilaterally to prevent a nuclear breakout. And if we talk about why the US joined, then Donald Trump had restored maximum pressure while reopening talks. Diplomacy was still going on, as you previously mentioned, and talks ended once Iran was declared in violation. So the US struck Fordo, Natanz, and other regions to set back Iran's enrichment timeline and prevent wider escalation. So Washington shifted from diplomacy to force in support of Israel's objective.
Indeed, Washington has indeed shifted to resorting the use of force instead of going down the diplomatic path. Thank you very much indeed, Kripa, for joining us with those updates there. Remember, the JCPOA that was struck back in the year 2015 had given a clear roadmap of how to prevent Iran from acquiring any nuclear weapons. Iran has been repeatedly saying that it has no intention of getting a nuclear weapon. This is something that the Iranians have been reiterating all throughout the course of these negotiations that the Americans were having with the Iranian representatives. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had again stated that Iran has no intentions of developing any nuclear weapons. He had also stated the reason why Iran wants to enrich uranium and have a nuclear program is for peaceful civilian purposes, for the purpose of generating electricity, and as a sovereign nation, Iran cannot forego that right. Iran wanted said that it wants to accommodate as many of these American demands as possible. But the Americans had their objectives clearly on the table. The Americans wanted Iran not to have an enrichment program at all. The Americans also wanted the Iranians to give up their ballistic missile program, and the Americans wanted the Iranians to stop backing the axis of resistance groups that the Iranians have as their proxies in the region. But at this moment, is it only the Iranian nuclear program and its ballistic missile program that the Americans are going after? Or is the American and the Israeli plan much bigger? Is it regime change that the Americans are after in Iran will dictate as to how long this round of hostilities will go?
Let me get this here. Let me get Joel 3. Right? Joel 3 and 9. All right? It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I'm strong. There you go. Right? Let me get Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13. And verse number 4 says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like it was a great people, the tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. You see? It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, Yahweh, right? It says, in the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. You see? So they're going to go down into the valley, right? The valley of Yahweh Shaphat. You see? All right? That's what is going to happen. They're going to go down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, right? Which is the valley of decision, right? Yahweh's judgment, you see? And that's what is going to happen, man. Okay? Over in what they call the Middle East, right? Over in the Levant. That's where all of these things are going to eventually happen. All of these nations are going to come over there. You see? The Lord is going to have these nations meet up over there, right? Because the Lord is a man of war. You see? I don't know if they went up there and told you. But Exodus 15 and 3, it says, Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. All right?
Go on. Remember, over the course of the last few weeks and months, we were talking about how the American military buildup of the naval armada was so large that the last time the Americans had weapons of this scale was back in the year 2003 when the Americans carried out that infamous and botched invasion of Iraq, which resulted in years and years of uncertainty in the region, which many people say also resulted in the rise of the ISIS in the region after the disbanding of the Iraqi army under the former leader Saddam Hussein. Now, what is Donald Trump's intention here? Is he again now going to change path? Will he talk about diplomacy? Because he was talking till recently of possibly having limited strikes on Iran. Or is the path for diplomacy now completely over? Is something that remains to be seen.
And as we know, the least of the flock should draw them out. Who is that? The small hats. Tiny tops. All right?
The Iranian side needs to come out and tell us as to what is the extent of damage it has suffered in these attacks that the Americans and the Israelis have been carrying out since this morning. Masoud Pezeshkian, who was targeted where the Iranian presidential house was bombed, has come out and has issued a statement that he is in good health and he's perfectly fine. We are yet to hear about Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was also targeted by the Israelis. The 87-year-old Ayatollah, remember, has not been seen in public in the last few days. He has been in different locations for security reasons because he was clearly the target that the Americans wanted to take out in the aftermath of what the Americans did in Venezuela. And we are waiting for some confirmation from the Iranians about what in fact has been the fate of the many targets that the Americans and the Israelis have struck in the course of the last few hours.
All right, so with that, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh, Bahashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of Ruel, peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect the Bayat Dawada, the House of David, Kwam Yashala, Ababa Ball, Shalom.